Hi all, welcome to my channel or welcome back. My name is RN Tracy 2MD, and if you are new to my channel, hi, my name is Tracy, and the reason it's called my name is RN Tracy 2MD is just because I'm somebody who is currently still a registered nurse. I'm still registered, although I haven't practiced in the last maybe year and a half to 2 years. And I have gone back to medical school as a mature student. And on this channel, I like to document that journey and share my experience, as well as share a couple tips about how people can get into medical school, especially people who are under-resourced or less exposed to the medical field. And I also like to talk about some tips for things that I'm currently learning in medical school, especially if I feel that I have the knowledge to do so and I've already been assessed in that area. So for the most part, that is my channel as well. I'm a running fanatic, and so you'll often see me running, just having fun on the treadmill or outside. That's also something that I like to do. But today, I wanted to focus on natural hair. And this is not something that I haven't already touched on this channel. I have another video where I talk about 4C hair. And then I have a couple videos of me either doing my mom's hair, doing my own hair. And so when I first started this channel, I think it was in my second vlog, I prefaced and I said that you are going to hear a lot about me talking about hair. And it's not just because I do hair, but it's something that I have to consider often. As somebody who's a Black woman who has 4C hair or B4C, I really don't know what my hair type is. But as a Black woman, you've probably already come across this discussion. It's not new at all. It's a really cyclical discussion that will often be triggered by some kind of event. And then it'll start an entire debate again. And so again, if you've been on the internet for the last decade and a half, you've seen this discussion time and time again. And so, yeah, I just wanted to give my own 2 cents on the discussion that's currently being had and how I feel about the discussion, where I feel excited, but then where I also feel let down and what I think things should look like from my own personal experience. So I'll also share my personal experience and my own journey with my 4C hair and how I came to love my 4C hair. So if that's something that interests you, please stick around and watch. I will try to have some timestamps just because I know I'm long-winded. And so I'll have some timestamps so you can go to whatever it is that you would like to hear throughout this discussion. And before I go ahead and talk about my own thoughts on this topic, I wanted to go ahead and insert some clips of other YouTubers who have already covered this topic a lot better than I can. The only thing I'm adding to it is my own experience, of course. But yeah, let's go ahead and get to those clips, and then we'll come back and I will talk about my thoughts on the current discussion.
I don't really have my natural hair out.
Why?
I think it's tough. It's like my hair's 4C, so that's like tough hair.
Mhm.
It's annoying to deal with. It's stressful, and I don't think it suits my face.
It's doing you like this because you know I'm right. Ask yourself, when's the last time I went out with cornrows just like this? When's the last time I did a cheeky little twist out? When's the last time I did a cheeky little braid out? When's the last time I just washed my hair, put some conditioner on, a cheeky little style and left the house? A lot of you can't say that. Like, a lot of you can't say that. And you think that is normal? When you have children, yeah? How are you going to take care of their hair? Because the way you even do your hair, you wash it, condition it, comb it, blow dry it, but with a wig, silk serum, chi serum, section the thing, straighten it, chase it with a comb, care, frontal, package the hair like this. When you remove the glue, you remove it with such gentleness and care. But when you're removing the glue from your edges, you're just chakam like this, gripsing up the frontal like this, ripping off your hair like this, because you don't even care about what's underneath, because you know you're gonna slap it on. You're gonna slap on a wig after. Wow. It is sad and it's pathetic. So when your little girl says, mommy, How do I wash my hair? I don't know. Just use Tresemme. No, I'm joking. Not the Tresemme sander. I don't see a single one of you trying to find a solution to help them heal. You love to point out the wound, but not one of you is trying to build a bandage to actually help remedy the problem. You are talking about the outcomes of slavery, hundreds of years of colonization and oppression. This is what it looks like. This is the evidence of it. We see a black woman saying she doesn't feel comfortable with her natural hair. She thinks it's tough. She only wears her wig to nice events. And we clock it, come on the internet, drag them. Meanwhile, we have no historical context as to where that comes from. And if we have it, we ignore it for the sake of virality. But my question is, what are you going to do to help her? Because you seem to be coming on the internet talking a lot of nonsense, and all she's doing is drinking her water and minding her business and trying her very best to love herself in the best way she can, considering the circumstances. When other communities, people are struggling, they circle the wagons, they round up the troops. Them man ride at dawn for each other. They are there creating safe spaces, building literature and book and project and workshop.
So welcome back. I'm hoping that you enjoyed those clips and you were able to get a good summary, basically, of the trail of events that is going on. Sorry, I have a little bit of a cold in case I cough or clear my throat throughout this discussion. But yeah, I hope you have a good summary of what is going on currently. So essentially, there was somebody either on TikTok or YouTube, but there's a clip that is circulating of a woman talking to a man and discussing her discomfort with her 4C hair and feeling that it's just something that doesn't suit her. And then in response to that, there have been TikTok videos, specifically from, I think it's one TikToker that has kind of like started the current discussion that's being had, who voiced her frustration with Black women who are not comfortable showing their 4C hair, or Black women who refuse to show their 4C hair but care for their weaves and wigs better than they care for their own hair, according to this YouTuber or this TikToker. And I don't completely disagree with her stance, but I want to talk about, again, where I'm excited and where I am disappointed. But again, before I go into my own thoughts, I wanted to shout out some YouTubers that I would recommend that you go and check out if you're interested in learning a little bit more about 4C hair, texturism, colorism, featureism. And I would say the top one to definitely check out would be Mayowa's World. And all these YouTubers, I'll put them in my description box, so that a link to their channel, so that you can go and find out more about these topics. So Mayowa's World. Another one would be Paige. Paige is an author, which is ironic. Paige and Page, like turning the page. Me and my corny jokes. Anyways, Paige, so author, discusses 4C hair. I really like how she's approached this current topic as well. I inserted one of her clips. And then there's Essie and Tinta. And I just grouped them together just because I do find that their content is kind of similar in the sense that they take clips from TikTok or things that are currently going on YouTube, and whatever is currently going on, they provide their own opinions on those topics. And so I really enjoy their thoughts and opinions as well. And so I would definitely go and check out their channels to get a better sense of this topic if you're interested. So how do I feel? What do I feel is going well with the current discussion? So something I find that is positive and something that I'll always champion is Black women feeling beautiful. So whatever that means, if that means Black women are feeling beautiful in their natural hair, whatever texture that is, if Black women are feeling beautiful wearing hair extensions, weave, with a caveat, and I'll explain what I mean by that in a moment. If Black women are feeling glamorous doing soft girl life, if they want to do rough girl life, if they want to be sporty and active and they want to run, if they want to be in the gym, if they want to play tennis, whatever it is that is going to make Black women feel good about themselves, feel more beautiful, I'm in support of that, just because I feel like there is so much in society that already antagonizes Black women just being Black women, that I'm always going to champion anything that is saying, hey, let's celebrate ourselves. And so that's something that I'm excited about whenever this natural hair discussion comes up. Let's celebrate ourselves. With the caveat, I would love everybody to be happy so long as their happiness and their beauty doesn't come at the cost of somebody else's liberties and rights, somebody else's dignity, somebody else's freedom, and somebody else's safety, somebody else's and their own safety, their own health and safety. So long as those things aren't at odds, then go ahead and do you. That's something I love to see in this movement. Another thing that I'm excited to see with this movement is that we aren't turning away from recognizing the role that colonialism and systems of oppression have in our preferences for certain phenotypes.
Told your hair was too much, too big, too bold, too black. Now imagine living in a time when it was actually illegal to show your hair in public because it was considered a threat. They tried to shame us, control us, hide our beauty. But instead, we turned it into art, into fashion, into power. This is the story of the Tignon Law. Let's rewind to the late 1700s. We're in Louisiana, but not the Louisiana you know today. Back then, it was a Spanish colony, a mix of cultures, colors, and class systems all tangled together. At the center of this society were free women of color, daughters of enslaved African women, and French, Spanish, or Creole men.
So we're not pretending that people are just individually making these decisions. We're not pretending that people are living in a vacuum. We are recognizing that there is a huge system of oppression that is intertwined with the decisions that Black women make with regards to their hair. So whether or not they feel comfortable to and empowered to show their natural hair or they choose to wear weave, we recognize that those decisions are rooted in something else. It's not just them making these decisions for themselves. However, I don't think that that is being identified with enough in this discussion. And I'll talk about that when I talk about what is making me a little bit disappointed. Finally, I'm excited that even though this as well is not being talked about enough, I'm excited that we're talking about the ethics of how hair extensions are sourced. And so I remember when I was a little bit younger, and if other people remember as well, when Chris Rock came out with his documentary Good Hair, and I think he had done it just because of he had daughters or a daughter, and she was having questions about relaxing her hair and all that. So he did this entire documentary talking about what we consider good hair, straightening our hair, how we source hair extensions.
Around the world.
Right now, I have Indian hair.
Human hair is India's biggest export.
Minimum 10 inch to 40.
10 inches and better.
Yes.
It's like porno.
Tell me.
In the award-winning new comedy that Vanity Fair calls hilarious.
Has anybody ever tried to steal your hair?
No.
If you see some black women, just run the other way. What I really wanted to know, if I can make...
And even though he kept it a little bit lighthearted and was kind of comical with how we source our hair, I did notice that there was definitely a system of oppression at play for how we source our hair. People were being coerced into giving their hair so that people can make human hair extensions with that. And so that has never left me. And so I'm excited that that's something that we are currently including in the discussion right now. So all of these things are things that I think are positives for the current discussion around natural hair. But I do want to talk about some of the things that have also let me down a little bit. So I will get to that in just a moment. All right, so now I want to discuss some of the things that are making me disappointed with regards to how we're currently having this natural hair discussion again. And so something that I think is missing, some people have mentioned it, Paige talked about it very passionately, but I think we're lacking some empathy for each other, whether that's people who are championing the need for Black women to wear their natural hair, or whether that's other women who are championing the need for women to have options to wear their natural hair or extensions. And so I think there is quite a bit of hostility created. And I hate that we're splitting this into like two separate groups when there's overlapping thoughts between everybody. And I'm sure there's going to be overlapping experiences as well that can be validated by each other if we stop trying to see this as two different groups doing two different things. But yeah, I'm really disappointed about the lack of empathy we're having for each other. And something common that I've been hearing is people using the term tone policing. And so for me, what that is doing, it's kind of villainizing having any kind of sentiment when we're having this discussion, which I find kind of crazy just because this is a human topic, right? And so we have to be human-centric in our discussion of 4C hair, natural hair, and Black women. We all have emotions, so why are we acting like it's a terrible thing to try to consider those emotions in the discussion that we're having? And I understand that it seems that we've reached some kind of boiling point where people seem to be fatigued. And I remember, where else have I heard this? I think I've heard it like Black people fatigue or empathy fatigue for Black people. I think specifically in the natural hair community, or when having this natural hair discussion, people seem to have reached some type of tipping point or fatigue with regards to women who don't feel comfortable wearing their 4C hair. And so they're now turning to other tactics as opposed to empathy to convince Black women that they must wear their natural hair out. And I just don't see that as very effective. And so it's not something that is isolated to this discussion, but it tends to happen where people will infantilize having any kind of emotion or attach an emotion to any kind of topic. And when people are also discussing emotions, they'll try to connect that with being feminine or having feminine qualities, and feminine qualities tend to be infantilized. So it's two things. Either people will infantilize having emotions, or they'll accuse you of weaponizing those emotions. And I'm seeing both happening right now. So I'm seeing people saying, oh, you're tone policing. So it's kind of like you're weaponizing emotions, and it's invalidating the need to be sentimental when discussing 4C hair. But then I'm also seeing people, say that people are too soft or they're like snowflakes for having these emotions. And so that's not something new. And whereas people might see being emotional about a topic as weak, I see it as a strength. And I think that has to do with my background as working as a nurse and currently somebody who's in medical school. Anybody who's been in healthcare will recognize the strength of emotions. And shout out to Florence Nightingale and all the nursing theories that really tried to touch on this. I know some of my colleagues, both in nursing and in med school, might have felt that it was fluffy to talk about emotions. It was fluffy to talk about the ways of knowing, or like touch and the importance of that. But it is so important. And I'm going to relate it back to this topic in a second. I'm sorry, I know I'm going on a tangent a little bit, but I'm going to get back, I swear. But as somebody who worked as a nurse, when bad news was delivered to somebody, and you're the one that's in the room with them after that, something that's natural, depending on your relationship with that patient, is you might want to hold their hand. You might want to lay hands on them. Again, depending on the patient, you might want to take a seat next to them, because holding their hand is indicating that I'm in solidarity with you. I want to support you through what you've just heard. I want to sit with you through what you've just heard. And anybody who has tried to do that knows how uncomfortable it can be to sit with somebody through something that is difficult for them to process. And I think that's the same thing that's true in this current 4C hair discussion. And so what worries me is when people are saying, we're not going to hold your hand through this anymore, sis. It's like they're saying, I don't want to walk walk with you on this journey. I'm just going to give you the facts, and if you accept it, you accept it. If not, too bad for you. And to me, again, I don't really find that that's something that is going to be effective. It's really taking on this paternalistic approach, taking on this moral high ground, moral superiority of where if you've decided to wear your natural hair or you figured out a way to wear your natural hair, then you have the moral high ground. And those who have not figured it out, they're like children. And we need to just tell them what to do. And I don't think that's correct. Right? So I think that we do need to stop focusing our frustration on the individual people that are making these decisions and really continue to focus on the fact that there is a system of oppression in place, and that is what is influencing people to make the decisions that they're making. And we have to really validate people's stories if they're coming to us and sharing their individual stories about their childhood, about why that is causing them to make the decisions that they're making. We need to validate those experiences because they're real and they have a real impact. People wearing wigs, it's just the end outcome of a huger system of oppression, right? And so why are we villainizing the individual people for making those decisions? Why are we saying that that was 400 years ago? You need to get over it. Does that make sense? Like, yes, it's been hundreds and hundreds of years, but that should show you how strong this is going to sit with people and why people are going to have such an emotional response to being told to not wear weaves or wigs when that's something that they've been socialized to think is the beauty standard, right? So I think we should be holding each other's hand through this. And if you're somebody who has managed to figure it out and you're just like, okay, I managed to figure it out, it's 2026, you need to get over it, then that's great. It's nice that you were able to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. It's possible that you might have just had a better experience or less negative experiences than somebody else. It's possible. So if you have a little bit more strength, if you're the one that was able to confidently wear your 4C hair, then why not use some of that strength to help somebody else out? You know, why not hold somebody else's hand through this? I don't think there's a point where we can reach fatigue with this topic in the same way that we cannot reach fatigue with other topics that have to do with oppression. So that's one part that is a little bit disappointing for me. Another part of this, again, has to do with community and feeling like something that I wish had been done with the previous 4C hair movement, or I shouldn't say previous, it's within the same like decade, but something that I wish that we had, or had been, I don't know if I should say we, that had been created is a supportive environment, a supportive community for Black women to air their grievances without being afraid of this kind of attack on them or all this judgment on them for expressing that they're frustrated with their hair, they're uncomfortable with their hair. It shouldn't be that there's somebody that comes online and discusses their story or their reason for not feeling comfortable with their hair, and they're met with, you're self-hating. Why do you hate yourself? You shouldn't hate yourself. We should be a little bit more gentle. We should be able to say, hey, sis, I hear you and your story is valid. And here are some resources maybe that you can use. So yeah, that's another thing that has made me a little bit sad. And I'm also kind of sad about people gaslighting each other through this. And it's not fully gaslighting, so I don't know if that's the right word, but acting as though just because it's 2026, it's all cool, it's all fine for people to go ahead and rock their 4C hair and be confident. There's no reason at this point that people should not feel confident in wearing their 4C hair. And that's very dishonest. I'm not saying that everybody who is saying they should rock their 4C hair is negating the fact that it's not the most acceptable hair texture. to display, but I don't think people are being fully honest about that topic still. And so again, when people are sharing their stories, I think it's important that we're listening to them. And it, like, as recently as maybe the last 5 to 10 years, we had this whole talk. A bunch of people were talking about Blue Ivy, Beyonce, who everybody seems to pedestalize. Still, she could not escape the discussion of 4C hair futurism. So if she could not escape that discussion where people were saying that her features are too broad or her hair looks dry because it's 4C, how much more for a woman who navigates this world as a dark-skinned woman with broad features and 4C hair? We can talk about and acknowledge that it's going to be a really difficult transition to go ahead and wear their natural hair while still trying to champion that we should be wearing our natural hair. I think both can happen at the same time. There's no need to demonize people or chastise them because they're not yet ready to wear natural hair. And I don't think that the goal should be for people to just wear their natural hair. At the end of the day, I think the intention should be that we are trying to, sorry, I think my lighting's getting weird. I think the intention of this whole talk is to heal people, right? And so if the intention is for us to heal people so that they will have a better relationship with their 4C hair, it might not always be manifested in the way that you think it should be manifested. It might not look like somebody is going to be going out in a wash and go. It might be that they have a better relationship and they better understand their 4C hair and how colonialism affects their decisions, but still not feel completely comfortable to wear their natural hair. And I think that is okay, and we need to create some space for that. So sorry that this was a long rant, but these are just some of the thoughts that I've been having. This was kind of just like a stream of consciousness. I intended it for it to be a lot more organized, but with me, things just kind of go all over the place. But yeah, that is kind of how I've been feeling as I've been hearing this current discussion regarding 4C hair. And so I want to go ahead and quickly share my own journey with 4C hair, and then at the end talk about what I think the natural hair community should look like, or what we should aim to be doing. All right, so I wanted to talk a little bit about my own journey, just because I'm somebody who really thinks that sharing individual stories is really important to understanding the reasons that people make the decisions that they make. And it's part of the kind of doctor that I hope to be in the future as well, somebody who really tries to listen to people's stories to understand their why. And so my own story started, everybody's story started with them being younger. But if you've seen some of my other videos, then you know that my mom used to do hair. And so when I was younger, she used to do hair out of our apartment. And then I learned to do hair just because I was her little apprentice and just would stand by her and learn how to braid hair. And so she liked to experiment with her own hair and things like that. And something that was common in the early 90s was people relaxing their hair. It wasn't really seen as a troubling thing that much at that time. And so I got a relaxer really early on.
A body to shine, a look that's totally on mine. Hair so soft, silky and free. I want something just for me. Just for me. No light conditioning relaxer cream. Just for me. For combing and styling that's worry-free. K-U-S-T-F-R-M-E.
Try the Just For Me No Light Conditioning Cream Relaxer System today, created in part by mothers,
Especially for their daughters.
by Proline.
And I don't think my mom thought anything of it. I didn't think anything of it. A lot of people my age had relaxers really young. And so that was my first understanding of how my hair should look. As well, when I was younger, I remember watching TV. I think that I definitely had a lot of beautiful role models on TV with regards to darker skinned women. However, if I think back and I'm thinking about all the people that I used to be like, oh my goodness, like that woman is so I'm thinking about like Tony Child in Girlfriends, Maya as well in Girlfriends. I'm thinking about the Jamie Foxx show. Oh, I can't remember what her name was in the Jamie Foxx show, um, but anyways, there were various people that I could look to and be like, oh, that's somebody that's beautiful that I would love to look like when I'm older. But the thing is, all these women had straight hair, and so that was just something that was already in my mind of that is beautiful for Black women. And then throughout high school, I was doing hair. So my relationship with my own hair was very interesting. And I didn't really think about my relationship with my own hair until I got to university. So that would have been 2010, 2011. And I would say that I don't know if that was truly the beginning of the natural hair era, but it was definitely when I was being exposed to natural hair more for two reasons. In real life, I was starting to see a lot more people wearing their natural hair, and it was considered beautiful and mature. So I think that at that point, I was seeing a lot of the older students, and they had their natural hair out. And I started to think, and I would go on YouTube as well. And I was then starting to come onto this natural hair movement. And so that influenced me to do my first big chop. And so it was in my first year of university, I went ahead and did my first big chop. But I remember when I did it, so the natural hair videos that were available at that time, there was type 4 hair, but typically it was 4A, if anything, and 3C. And so I didn't have a realistic understanding of what my hair was going to look like once I did my big chop. So I was thinking I was going to have these bouncy curls and everything like that. I didn't know that I was going to have kinky textured hair. I didn't know that I was going to have tighter coils. And so I at that point I did cut my hair, but I was still idolizing women with looser textures. So it was an interesting dynamic. So after that initial time that I cut my hair, I did feel very liberated. And I think moving forward, anytime I would cut my hair, because I ended up having multiple times when I cut my hair after, cutting my hair felt like this feeling of liberation or rebellion. So it always felt great to cut my hair. In terms of what happened when my hair would grow, that was a different story. So with my first big chop, as my hair got longer and longer, I would always be trying to manipulate it to look like something that it wasn't meant to be, just because that, again, was what I was seeing on YouTube. I was seeing more 4A, 3C hairstyles or 3C hair textures. And I thought that is what my hair should do, but I just wasn't doing the right things to get it to that point. And so eventually, with that first time that I cut my hair, I went ahead and texturized my hair just because I think I got tired of trying to make my 4C hair look like something it shouldn't be. So I texturized it. And then eventually I went ahead and I cut it again, started over, because I felt I got this vim and I said, oh, I want to try again. I just didn't do it right the first time. Let me try it again. So I went ahead, cut my hair, tried it again, and same thing happened. I got frustrated, but this time I did not texturize my hair. This time I went ahead and tried to lock my hair, because it was around the time that now I was seeing people locking their hair on YouTube. YouTube really influenced a lot of my decisions. So I was seeing people locking their hair on YouTube, so then I went ahead and I locked my hair as well. That didn't last too long because I'm really bad at committing to any kind of hairstyle, so I don't know why I thought locks was going to be a thing for me. So I went ahead and cut my locks and started over again. So with this third official big chop, I wouldn't really say it's the third, because I cut my hair in between that as well, but I would say it was the third time that I cut my hair after letting my hair grow out for a longer period of time. So at this point, it was an interesting time, just because along with me developing a relationship with my hair, I was actually in my first, I guess, long-term adult relationship. And that really impacted my own understanding or how I saw myself. So I would say that that relationship was really important in me developing a strong sense of beauty within myself. So I would say it was a really great time for me to go through that relationship with both that person and my natural hair. And it sucks that, I found my validation through somebody else, but it's how I came to like my natural hair, and I'm happy that it's something that happened. So with that person, there was constant validation that my natural hair was beautiful. This person saw me, without makeup through the transition from completely bald to having a small afro and without product in my hair and all that. And I think throughout that process, it was a very vulnerable process for me, but it really pushed me into accepting myself. And because somebody else was seeing me as attractive in every state, it really did make me feel that I am attractive in my natural state. And coming out of that relationship, one thing that I continue to carry with me is this belief that I am a really beautiful person. And it doesn't mean that I'm confident all the time or I think that everybody finds me attractive. But when I look at myself and I see my natural hair, I see something that is beautiful. I see something that is supposed to be there, to a point where I feel weird when my hair is straight compared to when I have coily textured hair or my own hair. Even the last time that I texturized or relaxed my hair, so it's when I had short hair, like over the summer. Sometimes I would look at those pictures and I'd be like, I don't like how this looks on me. Like, I feel weird that, I don't know, part of my hair is just straight. And yeah, that kind of forced me to cut my hair again. Honestly, looking at pictures of myself and having like straight hair forced me to cut my hair again. I said, this looks off to me and I want to see my natural hair again. And so here we are. So yeah, that is basically my hair journey. I don't know if it is relatable to other people. I'm sure there's a bunch of people that have cut their hair multiple times, had multiple big chops, and started over and tried to assess why they went natural. But yeah, that is where I am right now. I'm happy that I had the relationship that I had that kind of molded how I currently feel about myself. Um, Although I said it sucks, I don't think it should suck. I think it was a beautiful thing to have had a relationship with somebody to the point that I came out of it feeling very beautiful and confident within myself. Um, but yeah, that is a little bit of a summary of my own natural hair journey. And just like I was talking about why some women may not feel completely confident in rocking their natural hair, there was clearly something positive that happened in my life that allowed me to feel extremely confident with my 4C hair. And so I can't really go ahead and tell other people that they must wear their natural hair when they may not have had the same experiences that I had. So yeah, I want to talk about what I think it should look like moving forward for the natural hair or 4C hair community. All right, so I'm finally gonna end off this video. Just to end off, I do want to talk about where we should be going as far as the 4C hair, natural hair discussion is concerned and what we should be doing. So I think the main thing that we really need to do is make sure that we're building community. We're building a safe space. I know people are tired of hearing about safe spaces, but other communities have really strong safe spaces where people are able to come and talk about things that they're going through without being, again, met with like judgment and vitriol for having dissenting feelings from what they think is the movement that should be happening. And I think that's something that we as Black women should have for ourselves on the internets here, on the YouTubes. We should have a sense of community where we support each other. So if somebody comes out and is discussing the trauma that they have experienced as children, whether they've been taunted throughout their lives as children by other students, by their parents, by family, whatever, we should be able to say, I hear you and I'm here for you. I'm going to walk with you through this and provide you with some resources, essentially. So that is what I think should be happening. And I think that what that looks like in terms of the providing resources, there's another YouTuber who has been doing this for years, and I love watching her channel as well. Although I don't necessarily always agree with, again, her tactics, I definitely agree with what her goals are and her intentions on YouTube or in general in the media space. So that's Chrissy. So if you've never heard of Chrissy, I would also recommend going to check out her channel as well. And what she tries to do is correctional promotion. And so rather than villainizing Black women who choose to wear hair extensions, or rather than villainizing the victims of oppression, she tries to uplift what she would like to see shown in the media, what she would like to see portrayed. And so I think that's what we need to focus on. And that's kind of the route that I've tried to take, like small, that I've tried to take as well. And that's why I've put out those two videos or those two shorts that I have so far, where I'm showing me doing my natural hair and feeling beautiful with my natural hair, because I feel like that is correctional promotion. I want to show what it looks like for a Black woman to go to the gym with her 4C hair, with a wash and go, and feeling comfortable with that. And I'm not the only one, obviously. I'm not the first or only one, but I don't think that there should even be a limit. I think we should be doing this as much as possible if we're trying to correct some of the socialization that we've had due to racism and everything that follows that. So yeah, that is essentially what I think about this topic, what I think should happen moving forward. I don't think it's a bad discussion that we're having. I just don't necessarily agree with how we're having it in certain ways. And I definitely think that there is more room to humanize each other a bit more, to be a bit more soft with each other. I think it's necessary. I think it is required if we are going to achieve what we're trying to achieve, which in the end should be to heal each other and create a sense of community for each other. So thank you so much for watching this long-winded video that was meant to be a lot shorter than it is. I've already texted my friend and said, hey, I think I'm going to be there for the afternoon, a little bit after the afternoon, just because it's taking me longer to make this video than I thought. But please leave your comments below. I would really love to have true, genuine discussions about this. If you disagree with what I'm saying, that is fine. That is the kind of space I'm trying to create on this channel, where people can have open discussions. But I do not want anybody dogpiling on anybody. It's supposed to be people genuinely sharing what they think, what they feel, and feeling supported in whatever it is that they think, and having discussions where we educate each other without villainizing each other. So thank you so much for watching this, and have a great day. Bye, guys.